Breaking news! President Maduro has been captured by American Special Forces. This was announced by Trump at 4:24 a.m. After striking the Capitol, Trump announced that the leader, President Nicolas Maduro, who, with his wife, has been captured and flown out of the country. The president of a country has been kidnapped by the U.S. Special Forces. He will now be flown to the U.S. and tried as a criminal and will likely be facing death penalty charges along with his wife. This was earlier when American Special Forces helicopters went in, and it's now been confirmed that target was Maduro. They went into the Capitol and took him and his wife. The amount of casualties that occurred in this stealing and kidnapping a president, I can't imagine how many Venezuelans have lost their lives. This is truly one of the most illegal acts in international history. The United States has kidnapped a president.
The sovereignty of its airspace. The FAA warned major airlines about a potentially hazardous situation in
the United States has just captured the Venezuelan president Nicolas Maduro and his wife after the massive operation in Caracas overnight, and they have been flown out of the country. According to Trump, U.S. forces first launched massive strikes inside Venezuela's capital at around 2 a.m. on the night, wherein at least 7 explosions were heard in Caracas, accompanied by low-flying aircraft and power outages. Then, U.S. forces carried out a special operation in which Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife were taken into custody and flown outside the country. U.S. officials have not yet released operational specifics nor any information about where they have taken Nicolas Maduro. The Venezuelan government called it an imperialist attack and urged citizens to take to the streets. It was not immediately clear who was running the country, and Maduro's whereabouts were not immediately known. However, this marks a significant escalation between the two countries, as Caracas declared a state of emergency and mobilized forces in response. We'll continue to update as more verified information becomes available.
It's a long walk to face the wrath of American justice for Nicolas Maduro and his wife Celia. Dressed in matching tan prison uniforms, they're led in handcuffs from a chopper, headed to their first court appearance, surrounded by heavily armed federal agents. It was an all-hands-on-deck operation getting the captured first couple of Venezuela from a detention center in Brooklyn to federal court in Manhattan. The early morning odyssey began with the Maduroses loaded into an armored truck, then transferred to an SUV, then to a helicopter for the brief flight to Lower Manhattan. Another armored truck transported them to the federal courthouse for their arraignment. Security is intense. A ring of steel surrounds the courthouse, where protesters have gathered demanding Maduro.
What's up, everyone? It's your guy Prince Hayes here. So there has been a developing story involving the Venezuela, the United States, and the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. So there are stories that he has been captured by the United States forces, and he has been taken custody. Right now, there are reports that him and the wife are in New York City, waiting to go to court for the first hearing. Yeah.
Excuse me? Sorry? Happy New Year. Bienvenido. Good night. Good night, que se dice.
Libre y soberano, que viva Venezuela libre, camarada, que viva Venezuela de los patriotas, la Venezuela revolucionaria, la Venezuela de Chávez, la Venezuela de nuestro hermano presidente Nicolás Maduro Moro, camarada, y ya que las instituciones internacionales dejen de ser alcahuetes y se hagan un pronunciamiento real, porque están masacrando a un pueblo que lo que ha querido justicia, un pueblo que ha luchado por una vivienda digna, un pueblo que ha ayudado por la alimentación, cuando nos quitaron todo lo de nuestros hijos. Hoy hoy en día le decimos a esas instituciones internacionales que se pronuncian, porque ese gobierno norteamericano no es la policía del mundo y los venezolanos lo vamos a demostrar. Esto no es con un presidente, es con un pueblo digno, camarada, que aquí está presente. ¡Que viva la magia de Bolívar!
Yo, Trump put the president of Venezuela in a Nike tech and is shipping him off to New York. I don't know if it's just a coincidence or this man trying to pull a double troll. Since the capture of the president of Venezuela, the citizens have been turning up. A lot of them have been going live, showing parades, some of them chanting. They're even turning up in Miami right now. A lot of them feel as if that they've been freed from someone that they've seen as a dictator. Trump has also stated that the US will now be in charge of Venezuela until they are able to find a person to basically put as a new president. And yeah, a lot of Americans not too happy about that. Countries like Russia, Iran, Cuba, and even Brazil have called out Trump, condemning him, saying that he should have never went over there and did that this is a crime. There are still some that aren't too happy about the US playing police and intervening in other countries', affairs. Regardless, you guys know I'm always here to give y'all unbiased news. And if you feel like I'm biased or whatever, complain about it in my comments. What do you guys think about this situation?
Breaking news, African leaders have responded on USA kidnapping the president of Venezuela. So this is what our African leaders have to say. Let's start with the president of Uganda. Yoweri Museveni said that they can defeat USA. They have everything in their land to protect themselves. And this is why they don't rely on the foreign military. The president of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, assured people that they are very strong in East Africa and they have the strongest military. And what happened in Venezuela can never happen in Uganda. He told the people that they should not be scared, that Uganda military is very strong and he is sure that he can defeat USA. Can you imagine this? So the president of Kenya, William Ruto, was not so strong as the president of Uganda. In fact, he was very scared. So after the president of Venezuela was kidnapped, he made a statement immediately warning all those people that they bring substances in Kenya that they will be heavily punished if they continue to do it. South Africa is not scared of USA or even Trump. So the president of South Africa called for UN emergency meeting. Can you imagine this? He condemned what Trump did in Venezuela and he is not scared at all. Can you imagine this president?
I want to talk about what's happening in Venezuela and give some context from an actual Venezuelan. Maduro, bad. Trump, bad. Getting rid of Maduro, good. An American intervention into Venezuela, bad. Now you're going to see a lot of Venezuelans who seem to be in support of this American intervention, not because we're naive or because we don't understand what it could mean. Nobody wants to be bombed by the Yanks, okay? But that should give you an idea as just how desperate Venezuelans are. Maduro is not the legal president of Venezuela. He lost the 2024 election to Edmundo Gonzalez. That is an indisputable fact. But this isn't so much about the nitty-gritty of the politics as much as it is about the effects of those politics on the people. Imagine this. You wake up, there's no water, as usual. The lights have been out for about 10 hours. Your fridge starts to smell because the power keeps going out. So you're like, okay, I'm gonna go out and buy some new food. You get there and the food is even more expensive than it was before. Food has gone up 21.9% in price since just last October. Actually, food prices have gone up 12,000% since 2009. So that's like a tomato being worth $1. Now that same tomato is worth $12,000. That's how crazy the food situation is in Venezuela. These rolling blackouts too that I mentioned have a huge effect on the hospital systems. Often you will be in the middle of surgery and the electricity goes off. So you have a country where you have very little access to food, and we know little access to food usually means a huge increase in crime. That has happened in Venezuela. You have a dangerous country, you don't have access to food, water, electricity, and your hospital systems have been terrible. On top of these brutal living conditions, you have this political violence hovering on top of you. If you speak out about what's happening, you are very likely to be disappeared into El Helicoide, which is the largest torture center in the Americas. In July of 2024 came Operation Tuntun. So basically the government would come knocking on your door if you made any posts that were against the government. And if your neighbors outed you for being out protesting, you would be likely to be kidnapped and sent to this torture center. In just the month of July 2024, 1,900 political prisoners were taken. Those numbers have gone up to over 3,000, most of those being youth and most of those being underage girls. Since 2014, there has been 17,888 politically motivated arrests in Venezuela. More than 8 million Venezuelans have fled the country. Our families are scattered across the world because we can't safely live home. And back in Venezuela, the regime allows mining that is tearing apart the Orinoco Delta, poisoning rivers with mercury, and displacing indigenous people, allowing miners to go into indigenous territories, spreading diseases, and kidnapping and human trafficking indigenous women. So when you see Venezuelans expressing support for an invasion, please understand, no one wants to be invaded, especially not by a country with such a brutal, violent global history. But Venezuelans are running out of options. Our hope is real. But underneath that hope is fear, exhaustion, and deep sadness for having to survive this horrific, violent, corrupt dictatorship. So please give us some space to feel all these emotions. Venezuelans aren't dumb. We are hardworking people who just want the best, like everyone else, to live a normal life. Thanks for listening.
So, Maduro has been in power since 2013, and he has faced the years of sanctions, international sanctions, and even internal opposition. So, the idea of the US forces directly taking the sitting president of Venezuela into custody, it marks a historic escalation in the relationship within the US and Venezuela. So these implications, it would mean regional instability, market reactions, emergency diplomatic meetings, and even potential responses from US allies. So even as well as adversaries like, we have China and even Russia. So right now, there is a lot of information which is circulating online, and not all of it has been verified yet. So we are monitoring reliable sources very closely, and we will update you as things come up.
The president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, and his wife, Celia Flores, were captured and removed from the country in the early hours of Saturday, January 3rd, 2026, during a large-scale military operation conducted by the United States. The action involved Delta Force, an elite unit of the U.S. Army specializing in counterterrorism, hostage rescue, and the capture of high-value targets, according to official sources. U.S. President Donald Trump confirmed the operation in a post on social media. Trump did not reveal the couple's destination or provide further immediate details, promising a press conference at his residence in Mar-a-Lago. Explosions were reported in Caracas and other regions, mainly hitting military installations such as the Fuerte Tiuna complex and air bases. The Venezuelan government declared a state of emergency and condemned the action as a serious military aggression. Vice President Delcy Rodriguez said she was unaware of Maduro's whereabouts and demanded immediate proof of life. The operation comes after months of escalating tensions with U.S. accusations that Maduro leads a narco state and evidence of electoral fraud in 2020. The Venezuelan leader faces charges in the United States for narco-terrorism, with a U.S. $50 million reward offered for information leading to his capture.
I'm Chris Gilbert in Caracas, Venezuela. Here we are near Miraflores Palace. People have come together to defend the Bolivarian process, to defend the government, to defend our president, Nicolás Maduro. Last night at approximately 2 a.m. in the morning, we were bombed by the United States of America. The greater Caracas area was struck at a number of locations. People were killed. Buildings were destroyed, infrastructure was destroyed, and they unfortunately terribly seized President Nicolás Maduro and his wife. They kidnapped them and took them to the United States. Here we are rejecting this horrible violation of sovereignty, not just sovereignty of Venezuela, not just against the Bolivarian Revolution, but against all nations and peoples of the region and in the world who desire to be free, that desire to maintain their sovereignty and pursue human emancipation. Here, we are in control of the situation. The government is in control of the situation. There will be no transition to another government. We are calling to peoples in the world to reject this. We want the president back. We reject this violation of our sovereignty, our dignity, and our right to pursue our own path forward. Down with U.S. imperialism.
People of Venezuela, get your mans. President Maduro, you're not messing with the United States military. You're just not. I mean, we've gone down this path before. I mean, we done dealt with Chavez, and I mean, he got the picture until his untimely demise. However, it doesn't matter how many armed militia you have around the country. It doesn't matter. Because at this point, it's 2025. We're not losing soldiers. We pressing buttons now. We're just going to press a button on your ass, flatten the whole goddamn country. That's what we're doing. I mean, who could be upset with the United States protecting their people? Because cartels are moving drugs along those oceans. I mean, we need to protect, and we need to make sure that with heightened patrols that we don't have things coming in our country that's not supposed to come in. We're protecting the American people. And you're not doing a very good job protecting Venezuelans, because to challenge one of the greatest militaries on the face of the earth is suicide. It is. I mean, we have guys on bases that run around in a circle banging their heads on walls, ready to go to war and fuck something up. So this ain't what you want.
Father, in the mighty name of Jesus.
Padre, en el poderoso nombre de Jesús.
Lord, I decree with my terrible prophetic tongue today.
Señor, yo decreto con mi terrible lengua profética hoy.
That you'll protect the president of this land.
Que usted protege el presidente de esta nación.
And protect the whole of this land of Venezuela.
Y proteger toda la tierra de Venezuela.
Even as you have shown me in the dream, you will chase away the enemy.
Incluso como usted me ha mostrado un sueño, usted va a echar al enemigo.
The enemy will not come close.
El enemigo no se acercará.
And this nation will rise.
Y esta nación se levantará.
I decree salute health.
Yo decreto salud.
And strength.
Y fortaleza.
Upon the president of this land.
Sobre el presidente de esta tierra.
Nicolás Maduro.
Nicolás Maduro.
That in this land, Lord.
Para que en esta tierra,
you
Señor,
will always be glorified.
Usted siempre será glorificado.
Lord, I decree today.
Señor, yo decreto hoy.
That as you raise this nation.
Que mientras se levanta
the
esta
name
nación,
of Jesus.
El nombre de Jesús.
Will be exalted in this land.
Será exaltado en esta
I
tierra.
have decreed today.
Yo he decretado hoy.
Victoria.
Victoria.
Victoria, three times.
3 veces.
In the mighty name of Jesus.
En el poderoso nombre
Amen.
de Jesús. Amén.
Finished.
Terminó.
So guys, let me know what you think in the comment section, and if this is true, what do you think, and what do you think is going to happen next. Also, make sure to subscribe and also turn on the notification bell, because this is a developing story and it's developing very fast. So I'll bring you updates as they happen. And guys, thank you for watching. So stay tuned, stay cautious, stay informed, and we will see you in the next update. Thank you.